What's
Oh
up?
my gosh, you look so good.
Thank you. So do you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Every time I open up Instagram, you are dropping these poetic bombs on people.
Oh, oh, like in my stories?
With the Sophia Bush podcast, she's asking you a question and you're like dropping
Sophia,
this bomb.
yes.
And she's like, wow, yes, yes. And then, you're saying lines like, when I find myself in the eye of the storm,
The
I look at my
story.
feet.
I look at my feet.
Yes. And so I'm ready. I'm ready for my brain to explode.
Well, this
During
happens
this.
like when we're not on podcast. I don't know, but I feel like we're not like super deep. Are we getting super deep when we're talking?
We're about to. We're about to right
Okay,
now.
okay. That's so funny. Oh
We've been friends since 2008.
my God.
We only actually worked together for 2 months. I think we only worked together for
Yes,
two
I guess
months,
so, technically. Yeah, it
technically.
felt like 2 years.
But then we stayed close ever since.
Hmm.
So, I had this accident, in retrospect now, years later, was the catalyst for my crack open moment. It like basically was the reason why I had the
Mm.
spiritual awakening. I saw my consciousness separate from my body and I had never thought
Wow.
about it like that.
Like during the accident, you did.
Yes, the
Wow.
car went over me
No, I
and
know. I
then
recall.
I flew out of my body and I saw myself laying there. And then when I went back in my body, I was stoic and I thought I was going to die, but I was totally at peace with it. Which is like, how do you have that peace when you'd think you'd be panicking? And I was pregnant.
I know. I remember getting a call from or text from your husband, Matt, and it was like not the most terrifying call one can get. And obviously, he was
Oh,
very sweet to like to as calm a person down as much as you can while telling them something like that. And but obviously, I remained calm because he said you were okay, and it was just, but it was the craziest. I've never. You just don't expect to get that
yeah.
call, text at all.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. So obviously, yes, you came. Then you came to LA, so we had to see each other. But it was
Yeah.
just insane. It was crazy.
It was crazy. And so, anyway, so that for me, when I look back on it, that cracked me open. And I know that you've said meditation has changed your life. I'm curious, we're going to get into all that, but I'm curious
Hmm.
if there was a reason why you sought out meditation, some sort of crack open moment, or
Mm.
is there something that was like, ooh, I feel a pull that I need to start doing this?
That's really good. Well, shit, my thing was not near death. But I think there could still be moments in your life that you have a decision to make about who you want to be in the world. And
Here we go.
so
You're starting to drop bombs
it's
already.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't faced with death, but it was definitely, I wouldn't even call it an ego death. Um, for me, it was sort of personhood. I think we have to decide who we want to be in the world, how we want to show up. So for me, there was this moment that God created for me to experience, really had made me question who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And I really hadn't been faced with it before in that way. And so I had to navigate it in my own way. And it wasn't quick. Um, and I'm still in process. And I think that's the thing. I think people think there's a finish line when it comes to these things. I don't know if I don't know if healed sh- should be ever used in the past tense because it's sort of like nothing is truly healed. Even when the scar starts to fade, it's the memory of the thing that caused the pain is still there. So you never really healed from anything. We're always healing. We're always in process. And I think some people don't like being in process. So they just try to just be where they are and keep doing the same thing again and again rather than shifting and doing something new. And so what I saw that was a thing for me was a part of a pattern, but the pattern will continue to show up just with different cast members. And so for me, I was like, oh, here's my pattern again, just with a new cast member. But this time I'm ready to change the story. And I'm a person that works in television, and our job is to continue to do the same thing every week, just slightly differently. It's like when you look at Friends, it's the same six people. That's what keeps you coming back. But they got to change the storylines just enough so it's somewhat different, but it's the same things again and again and again.
Right.
And so, because that's what keeps you coming back. That's the thing. Like Law and Order SVU is the same episode every week. It's just
Yes.
slightly different.
Right.
So when you sit and watch the marathon, though, you can just like, okay, I just got it. And so for me, I said, I want to write, I got to tell a new story. To say I've learned the lesson, I don't even know if that's fair. It's more so I got what I needed to get from this experience and now I'm ready to have a new one. But the thing was, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna do meditation. I did something that kind of, forced me to meditate. But then after that, I was like, oh, that was helpful. So I'm gonna continue to meditate. So that I know
So
I'm sort of talking because I won't talk in specifics and so, but
that's totally fine. So you started meditating, and was it awkward? Did it feel weird? Was it like
well,
weird to
I
sit in silence?
Well, I think that's the thing. I think meditation is just sort of a definition, sort of term. It's sort of, but I think people can be intimidated by that word. And meditation is a form of saying just sitting quietly. And then I'm also going to go further than that because sometimes I can be meditating and somebody may have to come in here or somebody may have to rehearse downstairs, or there may be a fire truck going down this way. So when I say I sit in quiet, doesn't mean that I need to require a quiet space or that I even need to be alone. Meditation is sitting still and me being quiet. It doesn't require anyone else around me to be quiet because I don't need anyone else around me to do anything in order for me to get still. If I'm dependent on the world to get quiet, if I'm depending on people around me to get quiet, I'll be waiting forever to get quiet. So I have to get quiet in spite of the fact that the world is loud and the space is loud. People around me don't want to be quiet. I meditated on a plane before. And it's a level of like having mind over matter, and that
Yeah.
even if, say, a person, a stewardess may wonder, oh, this person's meditating, they may say, do you want something to drink? The mind then may go, society, oh, I don't want to be rude. I don't want them to think I'm crazy. Let me break my meditation and say, no, I'm fine. But what I could also do is say, you know what? I'm going to continue to meditate. If the person is confused, they kind of may wonder, huh, okay, I guess something's happening. I'm going to move on. And then once I come out of the meditation, I can say, hey, sorry, I was meditating. No worries. I saw maybe something. Don't worry. I didn't mean to. No, you're fine. So in that moment, you have to rise above the desire to calm someone else so that way they won't be confused about what you need to do in the moment. And so I think even in that, like, or to shove embarrassment out of the way, so that way you may go, oh, these people think I'm weird, or they may gonna think something's going on, or they may da da da. And even if that comes up in your mind, quiet that. Say, hey, it's okay. So what if that person thinks you're weird? This is your practice. You should be like, don't think about what's going on. Just get back and kind of get quiet. So then when you come out of it, you realize, oh, who cares if someone thought I was this? Who cares if this person did? It's all good. I'm fine. Everything's okay. No one's hurt. I'm all right. And that also tells you something. So then if you're going into another space or a scenario, you're reminded, hey, I shouldn't stress about this person thinking this of me. I shouldn't worry about that person thinking I'm rude, because then that person may be projecting in that moment. Is this person being weird? Is this person being rude? Has nothing to do with you or your practice. And so that's sort of like what your brain has to kind of tell you, like, you just remind yourself, like, don't worry about what's going on around you. What are you doing
Mm-hmm.
right now? Oh, you're getting quiet. You're being still. That's the most important thing in this moment. Everything else can wait.
What does your meditation practice look like? Do you do gratitude first?
I think people get confused that you have to go to a place to meditate. I could literally sit here right now and just close my eyes and meditate for an hour, 15 minutes, 12. I think also what I kind of do is not be stringent with my practice. For a while I was. It was like an hour in the morning, an hour at night. And then I started beating myself up. I didn't get a full hour in the morning. I beat myself up. I just skipped in the evening. And even when I was at the Super Bowl weekend, like I didn't meditate that week. I didn't have so it's like, but I'm not gonna beat myself up about that. When I got home though that Monday, 8 a.m. when I woke up. It's sort of like, all right. And I struggled to get to that 30 minutes because I was sort of out of practice with it. So it's like
Mm.
within this morning, like the 30 minutes was a little bit easier, but still open my eyes. And also before I used to set a timer. Now it's allowed myself to meditate for as long as I feel I need to, as long as I can. So now I'm listening to my body. So again, it's not strength. I think people get so caught up in the word and it being quiet and where you're doing it and for how long and or what if you go a day without doing it. Meditation is just like anything else. You have to adapt to it. You have to listen to it. And so I think what I really do with meditation is I take the pressure off in terms of how long I do it, when I do it, where I do it, how often I do it. I just make sure I don't go too long without doing it. And also, it's a cool thing is once you really get into the practice, I would never go a month without doing it. If I went a month without doing it, what am I running from? What am I afraid to get quiet about?
Mm.
That's telling me something.
So when you sit down, do you listen to something or are you just
I do
sitting
not.
down? You do
Yeah,
not. You just
no.
sit down
Mission.
and you sit like crisscross applesauce, or it doesn't matter
Even
where
though
you
Chris cuts
are.
episodes, it doesn't matter. Like 'cause sometimes people like you have to like be and because some people can be very particular about that. Like you have to hands class. It's like I'm not those person like oh, I'm gonna push through because my leg is falling asleep. Sometimes that's a part of that people think like I'm gonna go mind over matter. Like my foot is hurting, my leg is falling asleep, my hands I have an itch, and they just like don't move. For me,
Right.
I'm kind of like I want to be because to me now I'm spending too much energy not thinking about my foot hurting, my this that da, 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 da.
Right.
So to me, I want to be comfortable,
Yeah.
just so that way I can allow whatever thoughts need to come. So I don't have this thing of because then I'm like, why am I worried about how I'm sitting while I'm meditating? That's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
something else. So it's like to me, it's more about being still and getting quiet. How I do that, sitting can change, can alternate, um, because it's really about listening to your inner voice.
So what if your inner voice is like, "Oh, here's my to-do list for the day," or like, what if that inner voice is loud with clutter, or it feels like clutter, or are you just allowing things to come up?
Your inner voice should not be judged. How can
Preach.
your inner voice be wrong?
I don't know.
There's
Just
no,
if
there's,
I'm going over my grocery list, is that how
why
I
is
should be
that
spending?
bad?
Okay, okay, good, great.
Because if you
I
go
don't
to your
know.
grocery list, if you're sitting there for 30 minutes,
Yeah,
if it takes you 30 minutes to think about your grocery list,
it's a
then
family of
that's
four,
telling you
Lena.
something.
Yeah, right.
That's telling you something.
I
You
need
know what I'm
to
saying?
do it a
No,
different time.
no, that's just telling you like, you know, but then that's just telling you something. If that's all that's in your brain, then let that be in your brain. And then the thing is when you come out of it, maybe you have a better experience now when you go to the grocery store because you're now like, I'm so clear on
Mm,
all the things I need. You know what I mean? Or then hopefully it's
totally.
a grocery list is very telling about, like, okay, like we're between almond milk and oat milk right now. Like I'm kind of going back to almond, right? So now I'm sort of thinking about oh, I used to drink like full milk, then like whole milk, then lactate, and now I'm drinking all, and now it's like sugar free. Like my journey with like milk and dairy is this very interesting journey. Like look at society. There was a point where like everybody was telling us to drink milk, and like now we know that's not really good for us. So now we have these alternatives. Like so, you're thinking, like, what are the things on your grocery list saying about you and your family, and like what that means, and and then eventually, if you meditate again the next day your brain is not thinking about the grocery list because you already went grocery shopping.
Right. You've
So
checked it
if
off the
you
list.
if you allow your brain to do all those things and really listen to it, eventually it'll stop telling you about tasks and then it'll start like people will start to come up for you. A person will kind of hit to your brain. You're like, why was that name? Why that person come to me? And then you'll come out of meditation and then you may go, oh, hey, you came up for me. Meditation. And that person's probably going to say, this is crazy because I thought of you yesterday
Mm.
and I was going to hit you and I didn't. And now you're hitting me like saying I came up for you. And you're like, yeah, I stopped thinking about my grocery list and you came up for me. And that person going to
Synchronicity.
be like,
Yeah.
okay, well, yeah, I wanted to hit you because I'm dealing with this or this happened and I thought you'd be a good person to talk to. And I just felt like I didn't want to bug you. And no, no, no. Okay. Well, now we're on the phone now. What's going on?
So apart from people coming up like that or having clarity on your grocery list, What do you feel like? How has meditation changed you?
It's me being more in touch with like what's going on with me. And I think we live in a world where people are sort of pushed, are more inclined and geared toward looking outward, looking at other people, their lives. What are they doing? We see a lot of people like on social media talking about other people they don't know, ideas, things. And so, how many of those people sit quietly for like an hour a day? Because it's their mission is to output, looking outward. And so for me, and I put out things and make things and write things and all that kind of stuff. So I have to really be in touch with myself and my inner voice. I'm a person that's led by inspiration, led by creativity, led by gut. And so you got to be super internal. Like we just saw a Super Bowl halftime show from probably one of the great artists. And I think what he talks about, I listen to his music, is very much internal, introspective. It's all sort of looking within, getting quiet, man in the garden. He is like, I got to be so locked in. That's how you come up with something that's like, oh, so the stage is like a PlayStation handle. And it's like game over, and like it's a game. Like that's the person that's sitting with themselves and like listening to their inner thoughts. He even says, "I hear God whispering to me." I bet you do. You got to listen, and the world is telling you in every way, shape, or form, don't listen, don't get quiet. When you tell people like, "Yeah, I sat quietly for an hour," when people literally go, "I can't think of anything scarier," of course, because the world is teaching you to be afraid of your own thoughts. But your own thoughts are what take you to so many places.
I love it, Lena. This is what I meant. This is what I meant. It's impossible for you to do an interview without dropping some bombs on us. I'm so happy you're here. It just really makes me
Woo!
happy.
I'm just saying, like people, and this people like when I told them like how it's gonna take some time to get quiet, I know for a fact, a particular person said, "I can't think of anything scarier or anything more like torturous," and that is such education about where that person's at in their journey. No judgment, but it's just so telling.
So tell me, how does meditation and being in touch with yourself, how does that tie into your own spiritual belief system? Like, you believe in God? That's a question.
Hmm.
But I'm just
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
so your spiritual belief system, like, how does it all connect for you? Having Kendrick say, "Oh, I feel like with God's whispering to me." Like, is it all God's whispers? Is it a source? What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's like interesting. You look at, I was watching an old interview. It's funny, the interview that was taking place in 1999 with Larry King interviewing Prince. Um,
I love
uh,
it. I
yeah,
love that you're always uncovering stuff like this.
but Larry King asked Prince about his relationship with God, and Prince is very clear and adamant, about like that God is the reason, God is the source of everything, but also his source, obviously. And Kendrick obviously has is also raps about that, and so. And God is a constant in all of my work. I mean, but I think a big thing, even like in 20s, they go to church and Queen of Slim was listening to gospel music because it helps calm him. Like I yes was raised in the church led by a black woman, South Side of Chicago, Christ Universal Temple, Johnny Coleman. So me being a young black girl in Chicago, the minister of my church is a black woman. She's the founder of the church, and
Mhm.
so she also preached prosperity and God's created the kingdom and therefore we should have the keys to it. And so and so like and also that we were created in God's image. And so that idea that to me meditation is a form of prayer. And so my inner voice is God speaking to me because I believe my inner voice is given to me by God. So it's all sort of connected, and I don't separate the two. I'm reading a book right now about Dr. King called A Life. It is really about how, yes, he's a minister, he's a reverend, but he also has a PhD. So he's able to have a relationship between God and, he's saying what I love about Dr. King is that he's proof that one can be religious and an intellectual. I think sometimes people think the two things can't coexist.
That intercept is tricky in our society, but
Uh-huh.
modern day, there's like the science of spirituality is a whole course you can take at Columbia.
Hmm.
When you believe in something bigger than yourself, that I'm going to totally mess up all the scientifics of it, but some little light goes off in your brain when you believe in something bigger than yourself. And that light bulb, when that light bulb is on, the amount of depression, suicide rates, with people whose light is on, all of that is down by like 80%, 60%, like all these crazy big statistics about
Mm.
just believing in something that's bigger than us, which
Yeah.
that's science. I mean, that's science. That's showing that there's the hope and the belief is, stronger than fear and feeling alone.
No, I mean, it's so interesting because it's like James Baldwin, obviously the hero of mine, is like he said, I'm an optimist because I'm alive.
I love
You
that.
know, obviously a person who was a believer in God, please, raised in the church. I think his dad was a minister, but um, I think that when you believe in something bigger than yourself, it humbles you, and I think in a beautiful way. Sit down, be humble. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
all roads lead back
All
to
ties back
Kendrick.
to Kendrick. Hmm.
um, I love it. So in Hollywood space, I feel like there's this juxtaposition that's like glitz and glamour of Hollywood and
Hmm.
the smoke and mirrors of it all. And then there's this art that's being created that's like so meaningful and beautiful and profound and changes people. And it's such a polarity. I'm just curious what your take is being on the inside circle. Does it feel like there's a lot of surface? Is it just depend on the people? Does it feel like there's a lot of surface relationships? Are you, talking about these existential experiences and meditation on the red carpet?
I don't know, not on the red carpet, maybe. I don't know, maybe some people are. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you're just asking like how does it all work together? Because like Hollywood seems so
Yes.
superficial. I mean,
Yes.
I think well no, I mean I think Hollywood sometimes people can dismiss it because it seems frivolous. But on the other hand, Hollywood and society are reflections of each other. Anthony Mackie being the new Captain America is a reflection of society. Just the way Gone with the Wind at one point is a reflection of our society. So was you to go from the Wizard of Oz to Wicked, these Hollywood is here to show us ourselves through fantasy because sometimes society doesn't like looking in the mirror and it is an artist's job, whether it be a director, everyone from Alfred Hitchcock to Spike Lee to Justin Simeon to Barry Jenkins to uh, you know Gina Prince Bythewood, Ryan Coogler, A.V. Rockwell, Rhoda Blank. All these people are artists who work in a very interesting business, and what they want to do is put images on the screen that will live as time capsules. So that way, in 10, 20 years, people can look back and look at that work. And I've also made my own contributions, with a film like Queen and Slim. It's very much a time capsule,
Mm-hmm.
very much something that I had to say at the time. And then you can look at Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
that is also a time capsule, takes place in a period of time when I was just born in the 80s. And so, and I'm saying something about what it is to be Black and queer and to have a gift and to feel like you have a responsibility to your family, to your community, to your people. But then what is your responsibility to yourself? And so these are the things I may be grappling with, but I tell that story through a character, and then other people can see themselves and can then maybe empathize about what it means to be other, to be different, to be gifted, and what that means for that person and what it means for other people and the sacrifices that are made. And so, again, movies sometimes can help us have conversations that we can't start on our own. So, Hollywood is more than just glitz and glamour, but I think it's a bunch of people that are willing to be vulnerable and to create time capsules for us so we don't forget who we were.
This is a question that I'm asking everyone, and it ties into your spiritual belief system, or maybe it doesn't. But curious what you think happens when we die?
I don't know. And I think that to me is something that's really beautiful. And I think we all could afford to say those three words more.
I don't know.
People
Yeah.
are afraid. It's almost like it's the scariest. People are scared to say that when they are, I love you or I trust you.
Right.
Finding the power in that. I don't have to know. I don't always have to know everything. And I think we spend our lives trying to feel like we do because you feel less than, or you feel weak, or you feel inadequate if you're like, you don't know the answer to a question.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's okay not to know. I watched this great movie, Conclave. There's a really beautiful speech in it by Ray Fiennes. His character is talking about they have to get a new pope because the pope has died. And so, and he's sort of encouraging the people, the clergy that are there to select a new pope, is to tell them that, they must be weary of certainty because that is the enemy of progress. And it really hit me is that I think a lot of us are so caught up in being right and knowing and being all knowing. We have to make space to still be curious. And so, like, my word of the year is why. We don't ask it enough. I think we just accept things as they are. And I think doing that has gotten us to where we are right now. We got to start asking questions. Why do we do the things that we do? Um, and why can't we change that?
Wow. Just wow. Are you kidding me, Lena, with this?
Gotta ask why. Gotta ask why. Why?
She's asking why. She's asking what the word is why. Why? Why is the word why? No, we know why. We know why. We get it. We get it. I really just want to like sit and giggle.
Jesus.
Truly, when you answer these questions, like something comes over you. Do you realize that? Do you know that? Do you know? Like, I don't know if you know, but like, literally, like, you could hear a pin drop. There's like something channeling through you. It's like you don't say the word you don't say the word like, you're just dropping. Did you know that you do this? Because I'm honestly like, what the
Oh,
actual fuck? This is why every time I open, this is what I meant. This is what I meant. Like I like didn't actually think that this is what this conversation was gonna be, but here we are. Here we are.
I love how you try to act all like you asking these deep ass questions like, what do you think happens after we die? And then being like, you are deep. I'm like, bitch. I'm like, I don't know. And you over here starting the shit with, I saw myself. I'm like, what? Why did you tell me this? I saw myself, thought I was gonna die, at peace with it. Okay. Huh. Okay. I would have been fucked up, but got it. Can you imagine? So you're like, I'm cool. I'm like, huh? Like, I'm not. Okay. So,
We're thriving. We're thriving over here. We're
oh
fine. I mean,
God. I
now
was
I'm
like,
sweating from
Laura,
giggling.
not you acting like I would have been cool. Huh? Okay. Well, I don't know if we would have been, because you just said that real casual, like, got it. Oh gosh.
Lena, that's what this podcast is about. Do you understand? Do you understand?
I
Everyone,
see. Shit.
everyone takes everything so goddamn seriously. I'm like, let's be like, what if we are all just souls and our consciousness can pop out of our bodies?
Oh my God. I'm
Like, this
so
is my
glad you're just,
lived experience. Let's
you know
laugh
what?
about it.
Now we can. But
Yeah, now we can. With the dark
yo,
night is over. We've moved on.
okay. That shit, bitch, you almost dying while pregnant. I'm like, yo, we had to get some years away from that. I can't be like chuckling. Oh.
We're
I'll
years away
never
now.
forget.
Oh
We
my
are
gosh.
now.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
4 years away. And
Oh gosh.
I mean, so the first episode of this podcast is all about crack open moments. And I talked to my friend Whitney, who lives here in Rochester, and
Okay.
she had two babies die after childbirth.
Oh my gosh.
And it cracked her open too. And we have this very raw, but like full of light conversation about it because we have like, it has changed us. And that is why I'm doing this.
Okay.
Because it's
Jesus.
like I know, but I do like the thing is with spirituality is what I found in now that when I got cracked open and Kristen, Matt's sister, who says hi by the way,
Yes, we don't know that.
she by the way, she's an intuitive now. She
Mm.
talks to spirit guides and channels things,
Yes.
and it's like she is just so tapped in and so cool. But she sat on my couch and said, in 2021, which is a year after the accident, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying. I think that we are all in a soul family.
Mm.
And I believe that when we die, our souls go back home and we are having this human experience here. We judge ourselves, but without judgment. Like we kind of do a life review and then we realize the lessons that we need to learn and we basically switch up our roles in our family and we're going to come back and do it again in a different
Oh.
way. Right now, I'm your sister. Right now, Matt's your husband. And right now, these are your kids. Lena's your friend. In
Mm-hmm.
another life, the roles are going to maybe be reversed and you'll play different roles in each other's lives. I mean, talk about brain explosion. I was like,
That's
um,
deep.
isn't that cool though?
That's
I was like,
deep.
oh, that sounds cool. Because then it's like, we don't know what's going to happen when we die. But if we think we get to come back and do it again, like, isn't that fun?
Well, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not the end, like feeling like it's not the end. But I also feel like it's definitely not the end because I saw myself separate from my body. So we're just on an explorative journey
There.
over here, Lena.
That's just proof that, like, shit's real.
Shit's real.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I
you're
know.
not gonna be the same after that. Clearly,
No, I'm
obviously.
not. This is not the same. Not the same. But
Yeah.
I also feel like there isn't like I'm not a different person than I was, but I
No,
definitely
but
know that my mind was turbulent before this accident.
mm,
When I look back on it, like
interesting.
being at the Ellen show and the egos, Matt and I were not on the same page. We were not.
That's fair.
And like this has just given me the like peace to show up, take a deep breath through them instead of like doing that like reactive thing that I used to do or, make the snappy comment.
I hear what you're saying because I wouldn't have thought of you as like like a hot mess before. You know what I'm saying? But I see what you're saying. Like it's like you are got clearer because I think sometimes people could think it wasn't like I wasn't like worried about Laura before. You know what I'm saying? It just I mean you have regular problems and things that people go through, but I wasn't like worried about you and the state of your life. But I think what you're saying is you weren't awake to some things, maybe.
There's been an internal shift
Right, right.
of like a clarity where
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's like
Mm-hmm.
something that you find in meditation
Mm-hmm.
and I have like by exploring all of it it's just giving me peace around the chaos. Like when you said
Yeah.
that line that you said that I just made fun of you about early in the beginning, but when
Yes.
I see myself in the eye of the storm, I look at my feet like that. Why did that stick with me? That stick with me because yeah, no need to like wrap yourself up in the storm.
No, because it's not going to make the storm pass any faster.
It's
And
not.
it's not going to make the experience even more pleasant. So I think sometimes people, and it's happening now. I mean, people, the best way to think about it is if you're at home and it's raining and you're upset that it's raining, you have a choice. You can either be upset while you wait for the rain to pass, or you can enjoy the sound of the rain on your window and embrace it, or you can walk outside and dance in it. It's about how you choose to see it. It's about perception.
So now you have that now. Now, were you always like this? Or did there, like, this became something that you have learned over the years?
I mean, definitely you have to learn it. And I
Yeah.
think I think evolution is real in more ways than one. And I think evolution is also scary because as you evolve, you have to change, you have to adapt. And we have to always be evolving. But some people, we have to understand that we live in a world where there are people that embrace these moments of change and people that say, okay, that happened, and I'm going to continue on the way I was and not judge the people because there are people that could have survived what you did and went right on back to what they were doing. And the truth is, there are a lot of people that probably do that in their own version of what you went through. Let's be specific, obviously, but their own version of that. On what I went through, like I said, mine wasn't near death, but still, it was something that changed me. And I
Yeah.
learned something about myself. Uh, and so I think whatever that moment is for anyone, it's about how do you want that moment to affect you? Is it just a scar that you have, or is it something that reminds you of a time where you were in one spot and then you shifted into another and you want to stay shifting? But yeah, so many people don't want to shift because what I realized is that it takes a lot more from you to choose to be different every day.
Yeah. I feel like maybe it starts that way, but
Yeah, in the beginning it's hard. It's not easy.
I feel like once you get there, it's so
Yeah,
much easier to live
it's
here.
temporary. It's temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, the struggle, the uncomfortableness, because you're doing something new. You're rewiring. You're learning how
Right.
to walk again. And that's not fun. But when you get to the other side, you realize, oh, I'm in a new space and I
Right.
like it here. But some people don't want to walk through that uncomfortable, you want to go through rehab. You want to go through like, the detox. You don't want to go through,
Yeah.
physical therapy and having to, I mean, all the things you actually have to go through. And for some people, it's mental,
Yeah.
you know?
But that's, I feel like, what the beauty is about moments like this and then choosing the other side, like the rock bottom that you feel. And I've actually
Hmm.
gotten since I put the trailer out for this and since the first episode,
Hmm.
I've gotten so many people, which is like, this is exactly what I wanted. So many
Right.
people have reached out saying, oh my gosh, this happened to me and it cracked me open. But it's all good. And it's hard
All
to make
right.
it feel like it was good because it was dark and bad for a long
Of
time.
course.
The beauty of the present moment, like finding the beauty in that, I feel like is hard for us too, because we're just like on to the next in this capitalist society and all the things. But
No,
that's why I love this so much. This is all
that's
I want to talk
so
about.
beautiful. No, but I mean, thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciated Dochi's Grammy speech, in which she mentioned uh, sobriety and not saying that's the only reason why she's had success, but she just really just spoke about it in terms of her spiritual journey and how it just really helped her. It's just very interesting. And I think, again, I don't want people to feel like, oh, is that the answer? No, there's no such thing. But I think it's just interesting about how you remove something from your day to day that
Mm-hmm.
helps you maybe cope a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then you find new coping mechanisms and how
Mm-hmm.
that can be a shift. And even taking breaks sometimes, I smoke weed, but I'll take breaks if I'm like traveling or going somewhere. And what's great is that I don't, I'm not losing my mind or whatever I might be, like I'm not. And so that's also a thing too, understanding that if I wanted to break, if I didn't have to do this, there's I can separate it, not needing something to necessarily get by, but how can I, what can I do internally, maybe to bring me that same sort of peace, finding ways to do that without external help. If that helps someone, doesn't have to be everybody's journey.
Right.
That's another thing too. Everybody's practice is different. Everybody finds different things.
Right.
And so I think people are often looking to others saying, well, what did you do? Let me see if that
Right.
works for me, which is totally fine. People can try
Yeah.
different things, but I really do. That's why I really want to be clear here. I don't have a set regimented like at this time every day. I mean, I try to do it when I wake up, after I pet the dog. Okay, so that could be different times depending on the day, but I don't want to lock myself in. I just want to make sure, hey, as long as I got it done, as long as I have some quiet, that's the agreement with myself. And so people have to come up with an agreement with themselves that has nothing to do with anybody else other than them.
What do you make of like other spiritual modalities, like looking outside yourself, but also like looking to like astrology? I know you've said, Taurus. Like I know I've heard you say that
Mhm.
over and over again. Like what do you make and like what stock do you put in something like astrology?
I mean, I'm not as well versed as maybe some of my friends. But I think it's a part of it. It's all pieces,
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, yeah, I don't do tarot card. I don't know all that kind of stuff. But I respect it. I appreciate it. I don't look down on anybody. I don't yuck anybody's yum.
Yeah, right. I mean, astrology is literally completely overwhelming. I've tried
Yeah.
to, we're shooting this on a full moon. It's a full moon today. Didn't know if you knew.
Oh, I do love
I
that.
know. Yeah. So I know. Well, like that's the thing. Like the episode that went out today is all about like harnessing lunar power,
Mm,
and it's interesting because you talked about the mirroring of celebrity culture in our society. And
mm-hmm,
in this episode, we talk about the law of correspondence, which is, a universal law that so is below, so is above, and
mm-hmm.
how our external environment is a mirror of our internal environment.
Right.
And I just thought that was so interesting, but also, I was asking her whether or not, like, oh, when my kids are losing their goddamn mind, does that mean there's chaos happening inside me? So,
I don't know if that's anything
we
to do
have
with
to
you.
unpack that.
That might be your kids. That's
Yeah,
not
that's what she said
what's
too.
going on
But I was
inside of
like,
you. Yeah.
it seems like a pattern.
And you're
We'll
like,
need to figure that
hmm,
out. But
does that mean?
Lena, I love you so much. Thank you
I
so much for
love you.
doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This is so amazing. You have some beautiful questions.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I just like love like an hour alone with you.
I know. Come
What
on.
a
Next, let me,
gift.
let me know the next time, you're in my neck of the woods.
I definitely will. Well, I love you. Thank
Love you
you.
too. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Lena. And thank you for listening to The Woo Report. Will you be quieting your mind, getting still? I've been doing it since we recorded with Lena, and I find the outside world is rarely quiet. I've thought about Lena's words many times already. For way more woo woo, please follow and subscribe to the Woo Report podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you love to listen. Thank you for liking, sharing, rating, and loving on this little slice of magic. I am so, so grateful you are here.